What do you make of it?
Well, I chuckled when you said that because, it's bad timing, to say the least, for the Tory party, if indeed it is a Tory MP who has been doing this. But actually, it's not funny. It's quite serious, because this isn't just an MP enjoying pornography, which has happened previously. I mean, remember in 2015, there was the kind of semi-scandal around Simon Danczuk, the Labour Party MP, who was found to be liking quite hardcore pornographic images on Twitter, and after a bit of denial admitted that he did watch porn. Whatever you think about that, whatever you think about pornography, that was in his, on his personal phone, in not inside the chamber. This allegation is of someone watching pornography sat next to fellow MPs. So it's clearly not just about the presence of pornography on the phone, but presumably, I have to pick my words carefully here, the desire to engage in some kind of sexual act or sexual excitement in the workplace in the presence of colleagues, which is, it's weird, but also it's quite obviously unacceptable on the most basic terms of a workplace decency.
Yeah. And I think, 99% of people are going to agree with that sentiment, aren't they? There's a huge inbox response on this one, Ella. Sarah as well. Let me put this one to Sarah. Most of them saying, whoever this is, it's prima facie bringing a house into disrepute. It's such a terrible example. You wouldn't tolerate it in the workplace, your workplace. Why is it tolerated in the Mother of Parliaments? Edmund speaks for some when he says, unless it can be proven, then it will remain just that, an allegation. Time for Parliament to be dealing with real issues affecting the electorate. Sarah Elliott, we often get this argument, don't we? Look, this doesn't matter because there's more important things going on. I think this does matter, doesn't it?
Oh, it definitely matters. It sets a tone, it sets a standard. I mean, this is the heart of democracy for the Anglosphere, the Parliament. Are you going to accept something like that? And I personally think it's offensive and it's dehumanizing. I mean, that's my own personal opinion on pornography, but it should not be in the workplace, full stop, next to female colleagues. And it does. It puts the chamber in disrepute. He should be, at the very least, suspended in some sort of way, or there needs to be a definitive punishment for this, or discipline. And I'm not beyond the pale of saying, you know what, you should know better. You're an MP. We are, the people's house. Out you go. You should have known better.
Ella, Sarah was saying earlier, it's important to maintain due process in this, and part of that might be to retain the anonymity of this MP. Do you think that's right?
Well, if it is the case that they enter into a workplace dispute, in which evidence has to be brought forward, and they have to be, as Sarah says, being given a fair trial, as it were, within the remit of kind of workplace affairs, then,
their career is about to come to an end, right? Their career is about to come to an end. Probably.
Yeah, for the time. Yeah, which is it's a very serious thing to lose your job, especially if you're a politician. As much as it's a very serious thing to watch pornography allegedly watch pornography in the House of Commons. So, up until a point, I think that until a decision is made, they should remain anonymous. I mean, if it's the case that it's some kind of information comes out that, I don't know. I was thinking, what if it wasn't sort of pornography? They're watching a video of themselves or something. There's all kinds of things like that could come out that you might think, well, you'd have a different approach. And so due process does need to be followed. But if it does come about that they are sacked because of what has been alleged, then we do need to know. I mean, there's a strange thing going on at the moment. I've noticed that we've obviously had the Angela Rayner sort of scandal over the weekend, and there's lots of people who I've been disagreeing with on social media who've been talking very passionately about the needs for standards in the Commons, criticising Rayner for wearing a dress that's whose hem is not at her ankles. And they've been conspicuously silent around these allegations about pornography.
Who could you possibly mean?
I'm not going to name names, but there's something going on. And I just don't think we should... A more important point, which I don't know what Sarah will think about this, is But I don't think we should extrapolate from this or panic about this and suddenly start suggesting that the House of Commons is a bed of seedy immorality. You know, this is one allegation, and the fact that it's so abnormal and people are rightly outraged about it tells you that we do still have some standards.
Yeah. Do we, Sarah?
I mean, I don't know. Yes, I mean, I think that's good that we have outrage, but we need to see really strong disciplinary actions that there is some decorum there. And I do think we need to stop talking about Angela Rayner's legs and skirt hems, and let's get on to business. And I actually think the Speaker put fuel on the fire with the Angela Rayner stuff. And had he not said anything, it would be over and done with by now. So let's move on.
Just on the point about anonymity, Ella, you were wondering whether whether it's right this MP ought to retain his anonymity. I'm not sure in a world of smartphones and the internet that it's going to last. We don't have a name within the next few hours. I'd be surprised if we don't have a name circulating on the internet within the next... That's not to encourage it, by the way, lest anybody thinks I am. It's just a statement of what I think is reality. Just one more email from Tim, who writes to say, surely a private matter, if done privately, and appallingly bad manners, and crass if done in public, positively insulting if done knowingly in the presence of most women and many men, he should apologise if he did it to those in his vicinity at the time and end the matter there. I don't think an apology will do it, coincidentally. But what Tim does in that email, Ella, is introduce the question of men and women being equally offended. I mean, I really hesitate before straying into this territory, but we were talking about it at some length in our newsroom earlier. Does it matter what kind of porn it is? I mean, if it was gay porn, does that make a difference? Because then you don't quite view it through the prism of the sort of misogyny story that's been circulating for 48 hours. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do see what you mean. I think it's a fair point. I mean, if it actually maybe it even matters what content of porn it is if it was involving women. I mean, there is I think on the basic level, being engaged in a kind of sexual act, which is, watching pornography is nobody watches it for the artistry, let's face it. So engaging in that in the workplace is just on a basic level unacceptable, because it's a boundary of private and public that you cross over, and you shouldn't cross over in the workplace. But in conversations around, what pornography means for women's freedom and what ramifications it has, obviously that would be a different conversation if it was gay pornography. But it is important fact that the reason why so many women are opposed to pornography is not because it's sexually explicit, but because quite a lot of the content on those porn sites are, in fact, I'd go as far as to say the majority of content is degrading to women and plays off of old sexist tropes about women being subservient to men.
Sarah Elliott, do we draw out some positive lessons? Might something positive become of this? And this isn't me just being one of those people just determined to be quixotic about everything. And I'm looking at one email from Ian who says, I've known men watch it in the office. They've been sacked. If you are a man or a woman, and heaven forfend, you're on a bus, you're on a train, you see somebody in a public space watching porn on their smartphone, what should you do?
Move, leave, or, to tell the guy to turn it off. I mean, if it was sitting next to me, I would try to move out of the way, but I'd also be like, turn that off. I'd make a scene or something. I think it's just disgusting, and you keep that in your bedroom.
Ella?
Yeah, I'd slap the phone out of their hand. I think it's just unacceptable to do that. It's like clipping your toenails in public. It's just, you don't do that. And if you want to do it, keep it to yourself, but not in front of me.
You should have kept that simile to yourself.
Yeah, keep your shoes on.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows, and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.